as well. And so developmental to intellectual disability as well. So, and it's not uncommon to have these refractory seizures, so I often work with these kids working on the best combination of medication to stop these seizures and help the family out in that aspect.
And where do you think we are in terms of seizure control for him?
From my understanding, his spasm has been a little bit better with the ACTH. I think we added on vigabatrin at the time because it wasn't completely controlled. That's more of a standard practice that we usually do. We start with ACTH. If it doesn't work, we kind of move on to vigabatrin. So I think that's where we are at this point. From what I recall, I haven't seen like long or big seizure from Galen, which I think in that aspect that's good. From that standpoint, it's also safer that way. But the medication that is on, vigabatrin, should be also able to help with that as well.
We have been seeing spasms. He had
Yeah.
3 yesterday that were because we hadn't seen them physically
Yeah.
for a while.
Because he was too doped up.
But in the last few days, he has been having them more often, and I don't know what to do about that because like even yesterday it was very intense for him. Like he was bringing his hands into his core again.
His eyes were rolling in the back of his head.
It was just happening more often than it was before.
But that's also because he's coming off of very hardcore barbiturates. He's a little hungover. He's starting to gain more neurological function. He's not just asleep all the time.
The phenobarbital, I was told they're weaning him off of that.
Yeah.
I think that was helping him though, because now that it's coming out of his system and lessening out of his system, it seems like they're becoming more intense.
Okay.
And I know the Actar initially was working, but after the 2 weeks, it goes in 2, 3, 4, and 5. Seems like they're becoming more intense, and that's really scary to have to take our child home eventually with those being so much more active than they were even 2 weeks ago.
Let's stop right there. Yesterday, he basically had a heart attack. His blood pressure medication is off. Anyone tell you that? Anyone write that down? No? Okay. So I've witnessed many things happen. No one has listened. No one has wrote anything down. I've voiced my concerns. I have walked over 500 miles in the last month. I have 2 dogs in my truck right now. I cannot focus on when my child shits. I have to worry about 2 other animals. One's 180 pounds when he shits. Okay? I cannot be here for every time he is administered medication. I cannot watch every interaction with every medication he is given. Your nurses give him medication and they walk out of the room. You cannot keep a nurse in his room for more than 10 minutes unless he is dying.
I will add to that yesterday, after his medications were given to him, his heart rate skyrocketed.
And his blood pressure dropped.
And his blood pressure dropped. And he was turning bright red in the face, and he was having trouble breathing. We addressed it to his nurse, and
We've said it for the last 5 days. We've said something is wrong, and no one will listen.
For sure.
What particular medication?
I'm not for certain. So what his father had suggested was do the phenobarbital 45 minutes after they administer the, I think the Actar and blood pressure medication. Let me look at my note real quick.
You do the suck and swallow study? Okay, he's failed every single one. Do you know why? Because he's gotten the wrong formula and he is being poisoned. Of course he's going to fail.
For the swallow study, the one that we talked about, it was the one downstairs in radiology, and we just do the therapy.
No, you don't understand. They've been putting the wrong formula in his bag.
Yeah.
So of course he's going to fail the suck and swallow study when his body's rejecting his food. No shit. Let me tell you, you have untrained nurses that don't know a thing about chemistry. They just put a bottle of feed in his bag less than an hour and a half ago, and when I walk up to the bag, it's cold. When her milk comes out of her breast, it is her body temperature, not cold, gloopy porridge. We have serious issues of how he was being treated because we are not being vigilant enough to understand if the things that he's being prescribed are working. Everyone is so quick to give him drugs, but I'm the first person to bottle feed him. He went 4 days without a bath before I got here. I cannot bathe this child every day. I just can't. You don't know me, you don't know my wife, you don't know what the fuck we've been through. You have no idea. Now that doesn't mean that I can't hire a nanny. That doesn't mean that I won't go buy a $500,000 house down the street so that he can be close to this hospital to get the right care. But I mean, I have fought for him to be alive. And no one has listened to a single thing that I said. And until he's dying, that anyone will listen. So it has made me a little ravenous. It has switched a gear on me. I went the first couple days, I was like, man, y'all are really good. I think I want to make a donation to y'all. Y'all could use serious funding help. And then, to find out he's being poisoned with the wrong formula after we've reiterated it. I've said it over 50 times to different nurses.
The original time that had happened, it was
It's happened
a
5
serious
times.
issue.
It's happened 5 times since we've been
It was right
here.
after we had been admitted into the neurological ICU when we had been flown in, and they'd asked me 3 or 4 times over the phone, like what formula I use. I made it very clear that this is the organic formula and we use it for this exact reason. But
He has an HFE1 deficiency.
In that time, they had been giving him the Candamil regular, and they had told me that, and it was pretty upsetting because of everything he'd been through. He was aspirating, it was making him sick, it was making him vomit. His stomach was very swollen.
He was choking on his own
Because
vomit
of that
for 2
formula
weeks.
is
I
not
came
good for
in, he had
him.
dry vomit attached to his face.
They did switch up the formula, and then we did speak with Angel about that, and it was fixed. But I think that on last Friday, he's pretty sure that they had switched his formula again. I wasn't here for it. A friend of mine had come into town and just kind of had a girls' night with me to get out of the hospital. It was very short-lived because the baby was having lots of reactions to something that had happened in
Went
that
into
time because
anaphylactic
he
shock.
was aspirating a lot that night, and his blood pressure was pretty high. His heart rate was pretty high, so something was definitely going on. I thought maybe, it was situational, but it had continued for 3 days afterwards. And every time that I had brought it to the nurse's attention, I'm not sure that it's being heard because even yesterday, whenever he had that medication again, the combination of it,
They stacked them all together.
he's just turning bright red, and he seems really uncomfortable, and he's been aspirating more, and the infantile spasms are becoming worsened.
Neurologist, are you the doctor who decided to not give him Vigabatrin on week 1 when I requested it? Are you the person?
No, I started it recently.
Yeah, no. But week 1, we came in here January 5th. I advised that he was given Vigabatrin. Instead, he was put on 5 other different medications before we ever got to that. Are you the one who makes those
He was
decisions?
on Keppra.
No, honey, stop.
Barbitol.
Stop. I'm talking now.
Actar.
I believe I met him like a week ago, so I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Okay. Whoever his previous neurologists were, I met with 4 other ones. I know it wasn't you. You just have to tell me when you started.
Hand me those tissues. Yes. Thank you.
When did you start treating him? Because I've met with other neurologists.
When did I start?
Yeah, when did you decide to start helping him?
Like last week after his second EEG.
Last Saturday. Okay. So I know a timeline of how long you've been helping us. Okay. Previously, I'd spoke with other neurologists. They've given him all sorts of different drugs. And we don't know how that's going to interact with him the rest of his life. What they have done to scar him. January 5th, when we were here, I advised to give him Vigabatrin. And now, last week, after 3 weeks, you finally did it when it's your idea. And I'm glad that we have someone smart. I'm really glad we have someone smart. Because we've been fighting for his life to be listened to, and not when it's my advice, when it's your idea. Do they finally do anything? I said to put him on antibiotics. He's very sick. He has pneumonia. He has RSV. He has rhinovirus. He has hand, foot, and mouth all at the same time. I said, put this boy on antibiotics. He's not doing well. His body temperature is dropping. He is dying on the table in ICU. 3 days later, they put him on antibiotics. Now, why the hell will no one listen to me? That's what I'd like to know. Why did we go 30 days with no one listening to me? Can anyone answer that?
I can see that you obviously feel unheard and
Feel? You don't have to validate my feelings. I was unheard. That is being documented. That's why we were starting this process to contact the Texas medical examiners.
I know Angelo and his team has been.
I would still like the lawyer's information that I requested. That is still being requested.
So just to be clear though, the original plan at Baptist St. Anthony's, whenever they were getting him on the medicine for his infantile spasms and seizures, it was the phenobarbital, Keppra, and they wanted to, when we got here, put him on Acthar, which is like the first one that they go for. And then, of course, whenever that didn't work after those 2 weeks, they were starting to realize it wasn't the one. That's when they had put him on Vigabatrin, because that was like the second option. And there's a lot of...
We were out here January 3rd, January 5th, I had advised Vigabatrin.
But they, you know...
You said it was last week, so the 19th or the 20th, what is the day, the 27th? You gave it to him on a Monday, right?
Yeah.
Monday, you gave it to him, because I was here. I've been watching the interactions with this medicine. I've been watching him like a hawk. I've been up here every 4 hours to make him a bottle. I was awake 139 hours last week. All of a sudden, he's 180-degree turnaround. Because someone gives a damn. All of a sudden, he's fine. All of a sudden, he can eat a bottle. I gave him 3 bottles in one day. It's all just fine. And he's not being poisoned. All of a sudden, this child has made a 180-degree turnaround. And it's thanks to you for finally giving him Vigabatrin. I will give you that credit. I will show you that grace. Thank you. We've been through hell. She fell down a flight of stairs. Anyone know that?
That's my own ex.
Anyone know that? So before we started dating, she had a really traumatic relationship. He beat the fuck out of her, gave her a brain injury. So when I found out she fell downstairs, I was like, oh God, we're starting all over again. She didn't know who I was when we first started dating, and we've known each other for a long time. And doctors have come in here and spoken to her like she's dumb, and she's not dumb.
I don't feel
She's
that
a
way.
strong person. She's a good person. and y'all fucking run her into the ground.
I don't feel that way.
I do.
It's
Because I have to
exhausting.
live with it.
It's
I
exhausting in
have to
general
live
to
with
be a
her. I
parent
have to interact with her. I have to take her to 5 different emergency rooms
and
to get
absorb so
her.
much information and be present in the moment for your child and be on your toes at all times. It is exhausting, but I do not feel that way, just to be clear.
I feel like y'all have run us into the ground. I do. I feel like y'all have run us into the ground. And I will not give up.
I don't think you should for your child, but you should keep advocating for your child, and I think
Yeah, that's why we're getting the law
absolutely.
involved.
absolutely. And I think they should continue while we are at the same time also looking for the
Let's
future and
let's
seeing
back
what-
up. Let's back up. Who administered him? Who prescribed him the blood pressure medications? Who's that? You? No. Who's that here?
Is nephrology not
I
in?
suspect it must be, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about how to administer blood pressure medication. Okay. You give it to him before. You give it to him. You check his blood pressure. But then they give it to him. They walk out of the room, and no one checks his blood pressure after giving him blood pressure medication to see if the medication even worked.
I will say this too, is that oftentimes whenever Callum's kind of acting up and kind of fussing and a lot like alert and he's moving around a lot, they'll come in and check his blood pressure.
They do it wrong.
And
They're
he is, like,
untrained.
it will be like elevated because he's alert, he's moving around, he's wiggling, he's got good energy, and it will be elevated. And then they're like, oh, now he needs blood pressure medicine. And it's for us, it's like, can you just give him a moment? I will agree with him there. That to give him a moment to at least like calm down and like, you know, be still for a little bit, like let me hold him and see if he can't, you know, adjust his blood pressure on his own instead of administering a medication to do it. Because we don't know what the immediate reaction is that to him because he has been having issues. Like his little cheeks are becoming more red, he's becoming more agitated, he's having more spasms.
Well,
and it's
the
only
agitation is hangover from not being
I feel like,
heavily sedated,
And my
honey.
own observation is that it's from this blood pressure medicine that might be.
He's also eaten a credit card with the plastic because he's had a feeding tube in for over 30 days. And it's gotten tighter around his nose and it's going deeper into his body as his fucking stomach eats it. And no one has bottle fed this child except for me.
The bottle feeding,
Yeah.
since
And I
you're
think-
here.
Yeah, these are the things that we want
He's,
to talk
he's,
about. Like,
he's getting worse because he's eating cold food. This is very serious. We just put in a brand new piping hot bottle and I primed it through the feeding tube. And guess what? When it comes through the plastic, because of thermodynamics, it's cold. I don't know how to fix the system. If it was up to me, I'd cure everyone. You'd all be out of a job.
I had suggested maybe doing another swallow study so his father could see like what was happening when he is having the bottle because all the congestion and the loudness, like that's him aspirating.
Yeah.
Well,
He's not able to exactly have a bottle in this moment, which it could take
No, honey.
muscle training.
no, honey. When you salivate, when you start taking food by mouth again, your salivation is increased. And especially a hungry child that has not been fed is going to salivate more. And yeah, he might sound a little clogged up. But we can't even justify any of their swallow studies when he's being poisoned with the wrong food. So the efficacy of all the studies we've done, they're out the window. They don't mean anything. Because people can't do their job right.
We can repeat it, and that would be helpful, and we can do it, you know, exactly how you want to do it.
Okay.
Well, now that he's had a week of the right food and he's not being poisoned.
I think it
Also,
might be like it might set him up for success then. Like if
Yeah, but he's been set up to fail.
Yeah.
Y'all have set him up to fail. And I feel like we can't leave the room for 5 minutes. So I put a camera in his bed so I can look at it on my phone. Because I do not trust y'all. Trust has been
continue
broken.
with what you're saying.
sorry.
What were you saying?
I was going to say like since he is on the food that you think is the best for him and he's he's been looking as okay as he has been for some time, I think it's a probably good idea to see if he is being able to swallow all that formula without escaping to his airways, right?
Well, we need to take, his formula's been in too long. Most feeding tubes go 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, his feeding tube was put in like the 25th of December.
It's the 27th.
This generally what ends up happening is for those long-term feeding tubes, either
They bind into their stomachs, and hopefully he doesn't have to have it surgically removed.
they either the patients
Patient wait.
the patients either need to
Hey, I want the other neurologists who met with him. This guy, this is okay, I'm good with this guy. The other neurologists that sent us through a fucking whirlwind of hell, I want their names. I want it written down. Someone get me their names. They would be held accountable for medical malpractice.
I know that whenever we came in with the feeding tube, it was from Baptist St. Anthony's. Would it be too intrusive for him if y'all were to put in one of your feeding tubes? That would be like a clean start for him. That would be more adaptable, because I think the pieces that we have from Baptist St. Anthony's in your machine, they don't work. Like the nurses are having a hard time stopping it. Do you think that would be too intrusive, or?
I mean,
Would
of
that
course,
be
it's not the
something
most
you'd consider?
comfortable thing, but it's not a huge procedure. huge
Either way, he
operation.
needs a new one.
Okay, that's
Okay?
great. At least we're on the
Okay?
same
So
page there.
let's take him off the feeding tube and let's give him a full bottle. And I promise I have advocated for this since we got here. If you don't poison him, he will eat. I've gotten him to eat. I'm sorry that he latched to me. I'm sorry that no one has spent the time to feed this child.
Well, he is able to take bottles, but I mean, he's
But no one's done the suck study. No one's come in and done it.
They did do a swallow study, and you could see his video. Do you
No.
have-
Every day, twice a day, he has to have a bottle. He has to be fed. He is a human being. We are all out eating hot meals, going to dinner, sleeping somewhere, and he is in there not being fed. And I have a problem with that. Everyone is quick to give him drugs, but he is not being fed. The very study that you want to do, he needs 2 bottles a day, right? To try to activate that reflex, to activate his vagus nerve, where his stomach is pushing the food through. It's not just fed straight to his intestines. No one has done that.
We came yesterday, and we fed him his 10 mLs, and it looks like it's been being given either by y'all or by nursing twice a day.
I've done
I've
it
been
a couple
there.
times. His dad has done it a couple times. But the swallow study was recorded, and she has a video of it, and I'd love for you to see it. That's why I suggested last night, I'll talk to her about it. Maybe they could do another swallow study, and you could be present for that, just to see where his formula is going. Because there's also ways that you can feed the baby to where it's safer, like you put him on his side so where it goes down his throat better. That's something we can try.
Well, and
There's
if he
different
didn't
ways.
have the wrong formula still stuck in his feeding tube, because it's coagulated inside of his feeding tube and he's not constantly being poisoned, maybe he won't have spasms.
Okay, so a new feeding tube is on the table. We're gonna do that.
Goddamn right.
And swallow
That's what I've been
study as
saying
well.
for a week now.
So we are all Team Callum, and let's see what we can do the best for Callum. What would be the best next steps to make sure he's safe? And as far as I understand, obviously your goal is to take him home in a safe manner. Is that the case, right?
Yeah, eventually when we do get
Eventually,
discharged,
yeah, exactly.
I want to be fully prepared though.
Absolutely.
And with the Actar, that was one thing that we would need to have been trained on to administer to him.
Well,
But now that he's not going to be on that, which I honestly, I know it's more difficult, but that was helping him.
Yeah.
And it's too bad that in the 3rd week they had decided that maybe it wasn't. The Picobatrin, it it's a strong medication, and maybe it takes a while to build up in his body. And I wish we had another neurologist here because they would know more about it. Of course, it's their specialty. But
So
The other thing is that they're trying to feed him on an empty stomach, or they're trying to give him medication on an empty stomach. Okay, and that's kind of a big thing why his blood pressure reaction is the way it is. It's because I think he's not eating enough. It's throwing off his blood pressure. We're just in there. I filled the bag. We pressed the run button, and it doesn't move. I'm gonna pick y'all apart. It's a real serious issue, guys. What's been going on? Poisoning my child.
So we've made it to where that originally after this had happened in the first week that we knew for sure that they had confirmed that they were using the wrong formula, they had it to where the nurses would make the formula in the room. It was just a lot easier that way, and I just felt safer because before we even knew what was going on with Callum, I knew that the formula that we had been trying, this was the one that worked. So they were doing it in the room. Well, that one Friday when I wasn't here, watching them make the formula, and it's not because I don't trust them, it's just that,
No, we don't trust them. Just say it like it is. We don't trust
when I
you.
just see the formula right there and it's a safer environment.
No, we don't trust them. They can't do it
But they did it
right.
outside of the room, so that just kind of broke some trust with his dad. And I don't know
Because
how
I came back and it was wrong again. I can't be gone 4 days. I still have food from Christmas in my refrigerator.
Everybody here is supposed to be somewhere else, though. Every parent here is supposed to be somewhere else. Every parent here has a home. And a lives, Zane.
Liz, what are you talking about? I'm selling cars to be here.
Everybody
I'm
makes
giving up.
adjustments in their
I'm
life,
giving up
Zane.
my life to be a part of his.
And that's good. That's what you do for your parents.
So when
for your
I'm giving
child.
up what I am and walking 194,000 steps in 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, and I have to come make the bottle? How about I bring my fucking Mastiff up there and you take him for a walk and I'll take care of the boy? Anyone want to fucking
That's another
headbutt a
factor that
Mastiff?
not everybody here has to take
No,
care
but
of
if
dogs.
I have to do your job, someone has to step up to do my job.
I want to add, or get some clarification.
Angel, they sent you to the wolves.
So the formula, you said that you were more comfortable if they were doing it in the room, correct? Did that stop?
I guess it did
Yeah,
on
it did.
Friday.
It immediately stopped.
Because they had been doing that, like it was a comforting thing.